City's leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. Welcome into the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, where the voice of the Rochester fan is heard. Pull up a stool and join us at 866-4326. This is WGR Rochester, and the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia is on now.
2 hours of sports talk excellence here in the Flower City. The sun is out from the High Falls Studios in downtown Rochester. My name is Gene Battaglia, inviting you to pull up a stool and join us as the sports bar is open. 866-4326, of course, the area code 585. We are on YouTube and Twitch. Special hello to our viewers, and if you want to leave a comment there, you can do so. If you would like to write into the show, best way to probably do that. We're on all the platforms, but the thing I look at the most during the show is our X account. Just hashtag us or just tag us at WGR Rochester, and we have a lot to get to today, although I don't know how to feel about this because I come into the studio. I'm working upstairs, and I saunter down about 10 minutes before, and our producer, Terrible Time Timmy, says he has no feeling in his arm.
Yeah, it's true.
No, hold on. Do we need to call somebody?
Already called.
Dude, that is a serious issue.
It is a serious issue, it turns out, but no days off. So I might miss if you say 9 and I don't hit the button, it's because I can't reach it. But
okay, so we'll
do our best.
This is like a nerve thing in your neck, then basically. It's not a heart thing we're talking.
No. It's been 2 years of it now, almost to the day. No,
go home. We got Dandalorian in the other room. I gotta
but he's working over there.
I can, I have executive powers here now in the show. I don't have to, it was a 50-50 split before. Dan, you're doing just a fine job. You don't have to.
He can do a fine job. There's no doubt in my mind that this would be just fine without me, but I can't call in sick.
All right, well, if you're flubbing today,
yeah.
So I will allow 2 flubs.
All right.
Because I normally I would allow 0. Right?
I appreciate it.
But today
I'm going to do my
flubs.
best. It's just because
Are you drugged up?
No. I wish.
You're not drugged up. Okay, so
No.
Are you prepared for your terrible take?
I think it's a wonderful take. You will likely find it to be a terrible take, but I guess we'll find that out down the line.
All right, so that is Tim Schneider, the pride of Fairport, who has some sort of nerve issue in his neck and can't move his arm.
Yeah, spinal, Mike Tyson.
Yeah, that's not good, dude.
We'll be okay.
Good. Dr. Dudley will take care of you, but
he did.
Yeah, so it'll work out. On the show today, bottom of this hour, really good friend of the show. And, hey, YouTube is a great place for content, right? If you want baseball content on YouTube, Jim Riley, who's got Rochester roots, Ball Cap Sports, stepping back into the sports bar. He'll give us some of his time today as it is opening night for the New York Yankees. The Major League Baseball season begins tonight. I've got thoughts on that. But we'll ask our baseball guy, Jim Riley, coming up at the bottom of this hour, kind of our baseball preview, if you will. Next hour, betting expert PJ Glasser will join us as, hey, 2 weeks ago, PJ said, look at Texas. It's difficult to kind of say the team that is going to be in the playing game is going to get to the Final Four, but that's what Texas did. And PJ will kind of lay out the Sweet 16 for us. PJ Glasser coming up in hour number 2. Our phone number, again, 585-866-4326. We will have Terrible Time Timmy's Terrible Take of the Day. And our phones are brought to you by the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman Line. Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester, goodsmokebbq.com. One thing that separates us between Rochester and Buffalo, I think, without a doubt, is, hey, they like baseball in Buffalo. They do. I think we have more passion for baseball here in Rochester. I could roll out metrics that can kind of prove it. But the point is, we're going to talk baseball today. And it is exciting, right? And even if you don't care about the Washington Nationals, right, but you want to see the Red Wings do well. And today, the Red Wings are holding their media day, apparently. And I'm looking at Tuesday. Yeah, if you're one that like, hey, if I'm going to go to opening day, give me some free tickets on top of that. Right now, 40 and a 50% chance of rain, they are saying, which is like not fair. Monday, they're saying 58, Wednesday, 69. The forecast will always change this time of year. And speaking of change, if you're someone who likes the way it was, like baseball writer, baseball should open on a Monday at 1 o'clock in Cincinnati. I remember Crosley Field, and before Crosley Field, after Crosley Field, it was Riverfront Stadium. I remember when the umpire died the one year there. Like I'm just doing my baseball writer thing. Times change. And that's great that we all kind of grew up. Maybe you did. If you are now in your 20s, you don't know what I'm talking about. But used to be Mondays, 1 o'clock, most of the teams would open up. And you know what? We're all working. We're all in school. It's a little difficult, right? So if you're upset tonight that baseball is opening on a Wednesday night, get over it. Get over it. Like, baseball's done a better job of saying, nope, this is going to be our real estate. Our real estate being World Baseball Classic. And it's tough to take real estate when you're in the month of March and there's college basketball, but they did it with that, and they're doing it tonight. Tomorrow, I like that they moved it from Monday to Thursday. Why? Well, because you should kind of launch into the weekend, and you can get better numbers for attendance. And I think that just pulling it ahead just by a few days makes all the sense in the world. Not every market is going to be warm weather or a dome here, so you're going to have some things kind of bump around. But on a Wednesday night, you can do a standalone game as they are tonight in San Francisco, the Yankees and the Giants. And we'll talk to Jim Riley about the Yankees here. And far and away, they are the most popular team. I'm not naive, right? Like, you love your Yankee baseball. You should be excited about the Yankees this year. Look, they didn't do the big thing this offseason, right? They didn't go get Kyle Tucker. They didn't go trade for a shortstop. They didn't go get Nolan Arenado, but like you don't need a guy like that. But their rotation's decent. It is. Their bullpen's better than it was last year. I got to tell you that. That's without a doubt. Maybe Bednar, maybe he's not the guy, but he's a reliable arm, and he can kind of get outs. Kind of an underrated move, too. Picking up a lefty for that bullpen in Ryan Weathers. Maybe he's a spot starter, but I've always liked him when he was over in the National League. That seems like a smart pickup for the Yankees. Now, can the Yankees actually turn their offense when you get to October and be kind of a run-producing, let's, run the bases and do what we can to scratch out runs? We can table that because the lineup that the Yankees are going to trot out tonight, I could almost guarantee you that even if this lineup stayed healthy, that's not going to be the lineup that will debut in the playoffs. And, yeah, I'm saying the Yankees are a playoff team. That's not going out on a limb there. But there's some things I think that are off. They're not a perfect team. They're a really good team. You should be excited. I think that they can easily make the World Series if things kind of go their way. But I look at a move that they made the offseason like, you got the most you could out of Trent Grisham last year. Trent Grisham was a punch-and-Judy hitter over in the National League. Really good defensively for the Padres. But one year he batted 190. And all of a sudden he shows up in the Bronx and, hey, you're hitting home runs because you're batting in front of Aaron Judge. And then rather than let him test free agency, the Yankees offered him the qualifying offer, and here he is. Coincidentally, as we were talking about the Red Wings, the answer may be actually somebody who might be coming through Rochester. I think it's interesting that Jason Dominguez, the Martian, had a really decent spring, and they didn't put him on the opening day roster. Get some more at-bats, continue working on things. It could be just as simple as they want him to play every day. But Jason Dominguez, if you're a Yankee fan, that's a little bit of hope. If they can get him in the lineup at some point and spark some things. Because I look at that. There's another thing, too, here. And I've read this. And if you're a Yankee fan, you're probably rolling your eyes at this. But did you know if you took Giancarlo Stanton's stats, say that 5 times fast, over the course of a year, that he would have finished top 5 in OPS last year? Ohtani, Judge, Soto. Yeah, stop dumping on Soto. He had a really good year last year. And then Cal Raleigh of the Mariners, who was outstanding. And then it's Stanton. Here's the thing. He played 77 games last year. That's it. Stanton is somebody who's 36 now. And what was it this time last year? He had tennis elbow. Like, how do you even get in both elbows? And then he shows up, and he's one of the streakiest guys in Major League Baseball history. When he gets rolling, you see he won an MVP with the Marlins, for crying out loud. He can do it. So can the Yankees get something out of Giancarlo Stanton this year? And I don't think you want him in left field every other game either. So and you cannot rely on him. If you get 120 games, maybe one stint on the aisle, I think you would kind of take that. 866-4326, area code 585, our handle, WGR Rochester, Gene Battaglia with you. The other thing tonight, too, and going back to the new wave of baseball, if you're somebody, and I read this recently, like, oh, wouldn't it be great to have Bob Costas and Tony Kubek back? This is not 1985. This is not the NBC Game of the Week at 1 o'clock. This is not on network. It's not on cable. It's on Netflix tonight. And when you're going to tune in, I'm going to foreshadow you something. There's going to be a segment of the baseball community that's going to not like this broadcast tonight, because rather than do it the same way that everybody always does, they're going to do something different tonight in baseball, and then just try to pull in a different audience. I've had this joke on the show before. Like, if you listen to baseball on the radio, they all sound the same. Every Major League Baseball radio guy, the 3-2 pitch, that's low and outside, and ball 4. Try something. All Vin Scully clones here. And Vin Scully's no longer with us, by the way. I like Matt Vasgersian. Matt Vasgersian is solid on play-by-play. MLB Network, I think he's one of the best. Now, tonight, they're going to try out 2 guys that haven't done this. This should be interesting, but I think they have personalities in a different way. Completely opposite. For the Yankees, and Hall of Famer, CeCe Sabathia. Like, he will be doing color tonight with Vasgersian. And for the Giants representative, I couldn't even tell you what this guy's voice sounds like. Hunter Pence? Hunter Pence, the guy that we all like to make fun of. Remember that trend from like 8 years ago? Hunter Pence. He eats his pizza with a knife and fork. Hunter Pence doesn't know how to parallel park. I don't know how those goofy jokes and memes all started, but Hunter Pence kind of looks weird. I know we're not supposed to comment on how somebody looks, but hey, if he adds something to the broadcast tonight, I'm going to be interested. Lauren Shahadi's the on-field reporter. By the way, has there been anybody's star that has risen like Lauren Shahadi? She's done a great job with the basketball tournament, and there's no days off for her, so they're putting her right in tonight. Ellie Duncan from ESPN will be the studio host. And these are the if you tune in tonight, okay, this isn't stuffy TNT or, NBCSN when they did hockey or Fox NFL Sunday. This is Barry Bonds, Albert Pujols, and Anthony Rizzo. Barry Bonds. Wow, okay, Pujols? And I don't know how that's going to work, but they're trying something new. But laying all this out, and at this point you're like, oh, I guess I can deal with Barry Bonds. They're going to invite in non-baseball people. Some of them non-sports. Comedian Bert Kreischer. Do you know him, Tim?
Very funny. Yes.
Very funny. All right. You know what? Make me laugh tonight.
He will.
hit a one-liner. I think we're overexposed on Snoop Dogg. Personally, I'm like, okay, yep.
I'm with you there.
Your Olympics, commercials, whatever, everywhere you turn, he's there. But a few years ago, he did sit in on the Brewers broadcast, and I didn't watch it, but I only saw the clips afterward. That's how we live, by the way, right now. You see the clips. You're not really watching it. So Kreischer will be in. I'm not a wrestling star. The Amerks have their wrestling event coming up on Sunday, and that's fantastic. Jey Uso from WWE. Then this guy. All right. You got to be kidding me. Jameis Winston is what is Jameis Winston going to offer tonight?
He was a hell of a baseball player.
Right. But I don't know as a broadcaster what direction. Like, they're just going to invite him in? Boy, Veskurgin's got to be like, am I calling a game, or am I going to be like the point guard here, just making sure I'm reeling in these guys? So it could be a complete disaster tonight, but I'm applauding Netflix. They are trying something new. And by the trying something new, when I look at these special guests, it's like, hey, let's do our own Manning cast kind of thing on Netflix. This is going to be different for us. Like, our patterns for baseball used to, just a friendly reminder, Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, it don't exist anymore. And because NBC, they have their deal with the NBA, I don't even know what NBA game is on Sunday night. I don't sit down and watch NBA basketball on Sunday nights. When we get to the playoffs, sure. I was watching college basketball this past Sunday night, like most people. Celtics were on. I don't know what numbers they're putting in. I would have thought for opening weekend they would have moved off that. But Sunday Night Baseball this week is buried on Peacock. It's Cleveland and Seattle. So that's a loss for baseball, in my opinion. That you went from a platform like ESPN and say what you want about ESPN. I think for ESPN, they always did a good job for baseball. You took the money from NBC. Now, once the NBA season's over, all right, then you will kind of move to network television. And maybe by the time we get to June, July, August, hey, that's really kind of cool. And it'll be more accessible at that point. So something different tonight. A friend of the show, his name, Mike Rotolo. The former RIT goaltender, Pride of Greece, Eagle fan. I kind of tolerate that. Kind of envious. I don't like my man cave, but his home office, he's got monitors all over the place. That he loves sports so much. Well, tonight is a night that, all right, you love sports. You don't have to be a Yankee fan. Heck, you don't even have to be a baseball fan, but that's something you might want to check out tonight, Yankees and Giants. You're a hockey fan, you're definitely going to be tuning in for the Sabres. We got some divided loyalty tonight, right? It's going to be on TNT tonight, and this is what happens when you win, right? And some people don't have MSG, some people don't have Turner, so this is the day and age we live in. But Yankees on Netflix, Sabres tonight on TNT, and they're hosting Boston, 7:30. Now, we have the game, of course, 6:30 for the pregame tonight, so a little bit later with it being a televised broadcast. Funny thing is that we're at the point now, we would barely talk about the Sabres, but now it's a story that we could have just a little bit of a change in the bottom six pairing, the third defensive pairing tonight. As Connor Timmins, he's back tonight. He's been out since December 18th. Can you imagine that? He was playing okay. Now, December 9th is kind of the line of demarcation, right? We sucked before December 9th. And after that, my birthday's on the way on the 10th. You can credit me on that. And all of a sudden, we became great, right? So, like, Connor Timmins hasn't been a part of much of this. 6 assists, 33 games. Okay. Look, if you're Lindy Ruff, you got to get him in at some point, I suppose. And what might end up happening, Matthias Samuelsson is under the weather tonight, so he's officially a game-time decision. Now, if Samuelsson says, hey, I'm good, well, you're not taking him out of the lineup. Zach Metza might be the odd guy out. Now, we were joined yesterday by Mike Leone, head coach of the Amerks. And he's very insightful. He gives you answers and some insight as to what's going on. And I just asked the question, like, your captain's not coming back. Should somebody else wear the C? And, just said it bluntly, no, it's too late in the season for that. We're going to just kind of rely on, the room, and everybody's going to have to pick it up. That's fair. I totally understand that. We will be talking some baseball here coming up. Our friend Jim Riley, Ball Cap Sports. Next hour, PJ Glasser. Oh, by the way, we got another family 4-pack of tickets to see the Red Wings home opener against Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Hopefully you can give it a shot coming up later in the show. When we tell you to call. So if you're listening later on in the Odyssey app on demand, I love that. I love the fact that we live. You don't have to worry about tuning in from 1 to 3. You can listen in the evening. You can listen at your convenience. This is how the world is supposed to be, right? In this day and age. This is the only exception, though. You got to listen to it live, right? So if you're listening on our own version of the podcast, then don't call. But everybody who is listening in real time, please do give it a shot. We'll give away those tickets later in the show. My name is Gene Battaglia. This is WGR Rochester.
Rochester Sports Update.
Sabres back home tonight. Buffalo taking on Boston. Sabres in first place of the division. Head coach Lindy Ruff on his team being back home.
I think it's special. I think the energy in our building has really been great for our group. I mean, it's probably the first time they've experienced that type of energy here. And probably everything that's around town, the excitement that's going on. So, I think embrace it, but know there's a lot of work to do.
Coverage begins at 6:30 tonight, 7:30 for the puck drop. Be advised, the TV side tonight, that's on TNT. MLB season begins tonight. Yankees and the Giants, Max Fried going against Logan Webb. That is your pitching matchup. We'll be joined by Jim Riley from Ballcap Sports coming up next year. Amerks back home Friday night as Toronto comes to town. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Yeah, look, when Scranton Wilkes-Barre comes in next Tuesday for a week-long set, welcome back in. The Wings open up in Jacksonville on Friday, and good that they're opening up somewhere warm, then they come back up here. Luis Heel got sent down. So we mentioned how also you have the Martian, Jason Dominguez. You also have perhaps Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole is going to go on the 60-day IL, but he's going on the 15-day IL. Now, I don't know if they're going to want him to get him some starts here, if that's going to time out okay, but you're going to see some names coming in Rochester next week as tonight it is the start of the Major League Baseball season. When we want to talk baseball, we're going to talk to the guy that has some Rochester roots, a Ballcap Sports on YouTube. Check it out. Jim Riley, our guest. Jim, Happy New Year. How are you?
I'm great. Happy New Year to you as well. This is the beginning of a great time, baseball time. We grab the spotlight here in the sports world and get to run with it. It's kind of cool. This one game, all eyes on Yankees, Giants, Netflix. I mean, so much new is happening with this game. It's on Netflix, number one. Number two, we'll see the ABS instituted in a regular season game, and that'll be sort of fascinating. I'm really interested to see this Netflix coverage and what they institute. It's exciting. I love it. It's great.
Yeah, and if you're a Yankee fan, now the Yankees didn't get back to the World Series last year, and they didn't really have the big move this offseason. But Jim, I kind of like some of the things they did. I think their bullpen might be in a better spot. If you are a Yankee fan, are you thinking this team can get further than they did last year, Jim?
Well, that's going to really be decided probably sometime late July, early August, depending on what is still needed come transaction time when we get that deadline to make trades. Because heading into the season, this Yankees team they're going to be one of the best in baseball. I've done my power rankings, and I have the Yankees in at number 5, and I think they will be a mainstay in the top 10 all year and be a true contender. What's going to be interesting is the inevitable returns of Cole and Rodon, and what you're getting from them, and just really, are there holes in this lineup? Are there holes in this bullpen? Because if they fix those things, they have the foundation to be a World Series contender. So you can go into the season with the high expectations, but there's still some questions to be answered over the next couple of months to really establish any true confidence in being able to maybe take down the mighty Dodgers.
Yeah. Or for step one, get by the Jays in the division, which the Yankees falling last year, and give us and you follow the Jays very closely there. Picking up Dylan Cease, if folks that follow just the American League aren't familiar with Dylan Cease, he's really good. But at the same time, who knows what's going on with Trey Yasavage. So your thoughts on that angle here, as well as what are the Jays kind of getting here? Out goes Bichette, But in comes Okamoto, which I don't know anything about Kazuma Okamoto. So your thoughts on what the Jays did this offseason, Jim, and what the outlook could be here?
I mean, they were one of the most aggressive teams we saw, and you would expect that coming off of the World Series and how close they came to winning it. You know, one of the things they did was they added a lot of depth in that rotation with Dylan Cease and also adding Cody Ponce, bringing Max Scherzer back just a couple of weeks ago. All of that proved to be really, really wise roster decision-making because that depth is being tested right out of the gate because you've got Savage down, Jose Barrios is down, so they're dipping into that depth right out of the gate. But the Okamoto addition, a lot of Jays fans are excited about what they've seen from him this spring, what he brings to the table. Looks like he's going to be a good, steady bat. I expect there to be some bumps in the road. There have been historically adjustment periods for Japanese hitters when they come over. So I'm not expecting him to step right up and fill in the shoes of Bo Bichette. But what Toronto does have is guys that you're looking to see take the next step in their careers this upcoming season. So when you have Ernie Clement being one of those names, Addison Barger being another one, and you throw in Okamoto, those are three guys that should produce at levels to where this lineup as a whole shouldn't miss Bo Bichette too much. I mean, it's hard to replace him, but they've definitely put themselves in position to be right there with the Yankees, battling it out, and I expect that it will go down to the final week. That's where these next couple of months are important. You can figure out what do we need to add, what's not working, and you need to jump on it. I always say, it's funny how we as baseball fans, we know it's a long season. They play 162 games. Nobody wants to give these games in March or April much weight, but I do. Because if you miss out on the division like the Yankees did last year by one game or a tiebreaker or, however it goes down, if it's that tight, you can look back to any time of the year if you weren't playing your best baseball. And that can also include the first couple weeks of the season. So it's time to go. It's time to win the games you're supposed to win and answer the questions along the way about, the returns of Garrett Cole and others like that.
Yeah, the Jays open against, don't call them Sacramento, the Athletics. The Red Sox open.
The A's, yep.
Yeah, the Red Sox open in Cincinnati. I don't know what to make of the Red Sox. I really like their starting pitching, and that should be the foundation, right? But I don't know if you can squeeze another year out of Aroldis Chapman, maybe. But I look at that lineup, and I'm like, there's too many things I don't trust there. But with all that being said, is this a team that's good enough to somehow navigate to a wild card? Your thoughts on Boston entering this season?
Yeah, Boston had such a tumultuous offseason. The whole Alex Bregman saga, and then being linked to every single player under the sun and missing out on most of them, as you will when you're linked to everybody. So it was such a rocky offseason that I think fans come into this season almost like, thank God, let's just play some games. Let's get the boys back out on the field. And the guys that are going to take the field, I'll say this. I think I'm higher on the Red Sox than Red Sox fans are. And maybe that's one of those things. Sometimes you need somebody that is sort of stepping away and is sort of outside the bubble to analyze it. One of the biggest knocks on this team outside of not having Bregman is where's the power going to come from? And they may not have a 40-homer guy. They may not have a 30-homer guy, but they might have 6 or 7 20-homer guys. I just did it. I almost called them the Oakland A's. The A's are going to probably lead the league in slugging, or they'll be in the top 5. And guess what? The A's are not going to make the playoffs. So you don't need to have 40-homer guys. It's nice, but Boston, they've got about 8, maybe even 9 hitters in this lineup that are going to put together good at-bats and are going to be capable of producing. And when you throw in the starting pitching, and I love the starting pitching, Connolly early won a job this spring training. He's fantastic. I think the Red Sox have enough to be a wild card contender, to push for 90 wins. And if they're doing that, they, like the Jays and Yankees, will be battling for the division come the last week of the season.
There's another team here that, gosh, you dial it back 2 years ago, people were so excited about the Orioles for good reason. You saw the talent, and you could say last year was they were the most disappointing team. So lesson learned. I like some of the things they did this offseason. Hey, it hurt me as a Met fan to see Pete Alonso go there. That's going to provide some pop. Somebody like Chris Bassett, too, the, reliable starter that you can just pencil in for a number of innings. How realistic is a bounce-back season here for Baltimore, Jim?
Well, there's some good signs right out of the gate. You saw Gunnar Henderson in the World Baseball Classic. He was one of the best hitters on that team, and that team was loaded. So Gunnar's back. He was dealing with some injuries last year for most of the season, which is why we didn't get a typical Gunnar Henderson season. He's back. That is a monster change for that lineup. On top of Alonso's addition, they also add Taylor Ward, who is pretty much a guarantee to pop 30 home runs and be the productive bat. I think what this team had a couple things last year. They were missing the big power bat in the middle of the lineup, Anthony Santander. So they went out and they not only brought Taylor Ward, that was the first move, if you remember, they bring Pete Alonso. So they sort of doubled down on having that 30-plus homer bat in this lineup. The other thing that happened was the injuries. Now, nobody can predict injuries. You have to move forward as if you guys are going to be out there. If the guys are out there and the lineup is true to form, what it can be, they're going to be dangerous. And on top of it, their schedule out of the gate, that is one of my latest shows that I've put up on the YouTube channel, is all about taking a look at these early schedules. And the Baltimore Orioles have one of the easiest schedules right out of the gate. So they're almost provided a boost in that element too, where we could flip the calendar to May 1st, and they could be almost or at 10 games above 500. The schedule's great for them to start the year.
What makes the American League fun? Gosh, you could make an argument. I'm not making an argument for the White Sox, not the Angels, maybe every other team. Like I didn't like what the Twins did at the deadline, but could a team like the Royals, and we saw so many of their guys end up in the World Baseball Classic, or, does Seattle take that next step? You said, hey, the Athletics are going to be fun. They're not quite ready. What about the rest of the American League at large, Jim? Is there a team you think that could be emerging here?
Oh, sure. So the Central, you've got a very interesting battle. I think that we'll see the entire season between the Tigers and the Royals. I think the Royals will be there. If Cole Ragans can stay healthy, he'd been a pretty reliable pitcher until last year, so we'll kind of call that an outlier. If he's out there pitching on top of some of the other good young pitching that they have, I think the lineup, while the Royals didn't go get the big power bat that I was hoping for this offseason, they still added a couple of guys. And with what they've already got there with Garcia and Witt and Pasquantino, who, again, we saw shine in the lights of the WBC, there's a lot to like with this Royals team. And if anything happens with the Tigers, they stumble. Maybe Framber Valdez stinks. Maybe they deal with injuries in their lineup. If the Tigers stumble, the Royals will be right there. I think the Royals are sort of a high 80s win team, and the Tigers will be right around 90. So that means they'll be close, right? They'll be there all year. And then in the AL West, I'm really interested. So, okay, Seattle, yes, I think they take a step. I think Seattle last year dealt with some injuries in their rotation. They could finish with the best record in the American League if their starters stay healthy. And now they're not off to a great start because Bryce Miller is dealing with some injuries, but he should be around soon. If they can remain on the field, those starters, they have a championship caliber rotation. They add Brendan Donovan. They brought back Josh Naylor, so they get a full year of Naylor. Remember, they only had him for the last month and a half last year. You get a full year of Josh Naylor. They got a couple other things they got to figure out in that lineup, but the Mariners team just feels like far and away the favorite, not only in that division, but maybe even to push for 100 wins if they get the health coin to fall on the right side for that pitching. The other two spots are interesting between Houston and Texas because I feel like Houston's a little vulnerable heading into this year. The lineup is really just 3 or 4 guys, and then after that, I feel like you can pitch around the rest of that lineup, or not pitch around, but pitch at the rest of that lineup. And Texas had such trouble with their bats last year, but their pitchers, that was their strength. They add Mackenzie Gore in the offseason to add even more to that rotation. So Texas is going to pitch. The question is, can they hit? It's really going to be an interesting year, I hate to say it, for the ballpark in Texas, as odd as that may sound, because they talk about a mysterious dead air in Globe Life Park, which, like, come on, what are we doing here? But nobody can explain why all of a sudden in Texas it's become a pitcher's park. And maybe it's because the team that plays their home games just hasn't hit well over the last couple of years, or maybe there is, I don't know, ghosts. There's ghouls in the outfield that are knocking the ball down. I don't know. But Texas could bounce back if their bats bounce back, which could leave Houston as a team that is just watching the playoffs again. It'll be really fascinating to see that AL West play out.
I don't ever recall seeing that roof open in Texas. Like, that might be part of it, too. Like, I saw the roof of Miami open one time in an opening weekend, but my gosh, well, like, why are you spending all this money if you're never going to open it up, Jim?
Maybe let some fresh air in. Let some fresh air in. Let some of that haunting, dead, mysterious air out, and, Jock Peterson will hit a home run again. I don't know. It's really something.
Jim Riley, Ballcap Sports. You can check it out on YouTube. All this conversation, I haven't even touched on the Dodgers. And the Dodgers, I can't even call it a weakness, but an area they didn't have shored up last year, the bullpen. Okay, we're going to fix that. Let's go get the best guy in the game with Diaz. Oh, wait a second. The best free agent. Let's take him too, Kyle Tucker. Hey, Blake Snell, whenever you're ready, the luxury of we have, like, how many guys we can roll out in the rotation. A full year Shohei Ohtani potentially on the mound. 11 strikeouts last night. Here's my question. If for the end of the story for the 2026 season, once again, has the Dodgers as the champions. Now, the Yankees did this in the 90s, and you had the Oakland A's, but are we going to have the conversation that this Dodger team is the best ever assembled? One of the best? Where are we putting this Dodger roster right now in terms of the all-time greats, Jim?
I mean, on paper, it stacks up there with one of the all-time greats. I mean, we see the stories play out. We're going to have Hall of Famers in this group. We have a team loaded with all-stars. It's a Dodgers team that is set up to, if they wanted, to set the mark for wins in a regular season. They could break that. Now, here's the thing. That's not the goal. That is not their ultimate desire. They want to win the World Series. I could see the regular season being a little bit of a blend of going through the motions through the regular season and making it through the regular season healthy. So for that reason, I don't think they go and break the record for wins in a season, but I do think the floor is a 100-win season. And when we get into the postseason, that's when you're going to really see it tested, because we saw the Blue Jays test them in the World Series. I do think whoever is left standing in the American League to go up against the Dodgers will give them a fight. In a 7-game series, anything can happen. So will the Dodgers win the World Series? I mean, it's highly likely, but I wouldn't think that it's just going to be sort of a cakewalk and that nobody's going to take them down. There will be they will get a run for their money to try to win a third straight championship.
The NL Central, it's bizarre world, because the consensus I read when you see the predictions and everything, they have the Cardinals last. But hey, they have Weatherholt, the kid. He could be pretty good. The Pirates showing. I'm upset with the Pirates with Connor Griffin. Maybe you have some thoughts on that. That would have been fun to have the teenager make his major league debut on opening day. Last guy to do that was actually Griffey. Very rare you have a teenager on opening day. Usually they get called up or something. Milwaukee always kind of finds a way. Cincinnati at least, brought back Suarez. and then you have the Cubs. So this is, in my opinion, kind of a tough division to kind of handicap. How do you view it here, Jim?
I really like the Cubs this year. There is just something about the depth in pitching that they have, both in their rotation and in the bullpen, and the lineup. It's rare that you can lose a talent like Kyle Tucker one season and then the next season still be expected to produce from a run perspective at a similar pace. Now, that is aided by the addition of Alex Bregman, but it's also a lot of young guys that are still sort of rising and climbing in their career. So this Cubs team really excites me. I think that they're my division favorite. The Brewers will still be there, but it's going to be interesting to see to what degree are they just kind of like a hover around 500 team, give you a tough time, or can they really establish themselves again as a contender? Because Freddie Peralta's gone, Isaac Collins is gone, Caleb Durbin's gone. Those guys were important to last year's team, and they're not really replacing them. You're just hoping on Brandon Woodruff being healthy all year or Jacob Mizorowski taking a step, and maybe they do, but what if they don't? So the Brewers are really counting on, hey, what we've always done is always going to work. So that'll be tested this year. I do think they'll be around. The Reds feel like another 500 team, and so do the Pirates. The Pirates feel like they're kind of pushing to that level as long as Paul Skeens and the rest of that pitching staff does what they're capable of. Your comment about Connor Griffin, though, I mean, I'm with you. I would have loved to have seen it. I am not surprised that that team decided to go this route because they can just basically put him down in the minors for a few weeks and then call him up and get an extra service time. And here's the funny thing. Now, we tried to get rid of that with the last CBA and incentivizing Rookie of the Years and things like that. Connor Griffin could still have his service time manipulated, come up in a month, and still win Rookie of the Year. So, like, they could. I hate to put it this way, they could get the best of both worlds. At least if you're looking at it from the owner's perspective. I would have loved to have seen Connor Griffin come up. Now, he has not seen a pitch above AA in the minors. So if you want to give him any slack, maybe there's some justification there. But he looked like he's ready in the spring. I would have loved to have seen him there. I think it would have signaled something in Pittsburgh, like, hey, we're going for it. We think we're good enough to make the playoffs, and we're going to do it. This just feels like, unfortunately, it's more of the same. But I don't know. I'm hoping that there's enough talent that the players can break that mold. It would be fun to see Pittsburgh contend. It would be fun to see Paul Skeens pitching in October after we just saw him pitch in the WBC.
Pirates open up against the Mets. I'm heading down there. I'll be there Sunday, Jim. I cannot wait. 50 and Sun, I will take it. The NL East. I feel like, okay, there's two teams that maybe they're a little spunky, and the Marlins and Nationals not really considering. Three teams, Phillies, Mets certainly made some moves. I liken the Atlanta Braves to the San Francisco 49ers. Like, every year there's injuries. What on earth is going? Is there an electrical substation that's hurting everybody for the Braves here? Your thoughts on the NL East here, Jim, as we wrap up?
Yeah, the Braves, I feel bad for them. I mean, there's so much talent here. These years of Ronald Acuna and all the other talented players, to just have them passing by because injuries keep ruining things here. It's not good. That's three big names now. Three big arms are not there for that Braves rotation. I think it will impact them to some degree. I do think, these guys should all be back, which should help Atlanta get into the conversation for a postseason spot. The Mets, I really like the New York Mets this year. I'm probably higher on the Mets than most. I think they come into the season as a top 10 team. And with the addition of Freddie Peralta, the maturation of Nolan McLean, the rest of the pitching depth they have for that rotation, bullpen's going to be steady. The lineup, they're going to score a ton of runs. I don't know what the defense is going to look like. We'll see how that plays out. But they're going to score a ton of runs, and they have the pitching talent to support it. So the Mets are feeling to me like another like a 90-win kind of team, but so do the Braves. And the Phillies, even though the Phillies come in again, I look at them, they're similar to Houston. I look at Philly and they feel vulnerable with Wheeler not being back, with the rotation depth being tested, with the lineup feeling only half full. It feels like Philly is in an interesting spot too. All three teams probably end up battling it out and all finish somewhere between 92 and 89 wins, which could set up for an incredible season. I like the Braves narrowly over the Mets, but I'm kind of pivoting off of that as the days go on, as these Brave injuries keep stacking up, because the Mets could be right there to capitalize on it. They're good enough to contend.
Well, make ballpark sports part of your routine if you're a baseball fan, or if you're just a casual fan and wants to learn more. Jim, tell everybody about it, what kind of schedule we'll be on here now that the season is upon us.
Yeah, I have a show up this morning. Anybody has some free time later on today, I took a look at the 5 easiest and the 5 toughest schedules to start the MLB season, as everybody wants to get out on the right foot. Sometimes the path that's put in front of you will determine if you can get out on the right foot or not. So that's up now. There's been a lot of preview content. Now we'll sort of shift gears into, reacting to and breaking down what's happening on the field, and that'll carry us through until we get into that transactional time again, which will lead us, get us in June and July when we're in the trade deadline. But yeah, check out Ball Cap Sports if you haven't yet. And, as always, this is a pleasure. Love coming on and talking ball with you, especially this time of year.
Yeah, Jim, fantastic stuff. Great job. Let's do this again soon.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Jim Riley. Ball Cap Sports. Check it out on YouTube. Yankees and Giants tonight. I've got some thoughts on college basketball. We will be talking a little Sabres as well. And, PJ Glasser joins us next hour. Terrible Take, Timmy's Terrible Take will be coming up. My name is Gene Battaglia here on the Sports Bar.
Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
Spring, you can feel it, right? It's here almost. You're excited for warmer weather, but as temperatures rise, make sure that your energy bills don't. Keeping those cooling costs low with Window Nation's high-quality, energy-efficient products. Simply request a consultation where their experts will visit your home and spot problem areas and make recommendations. Your customized windows can be installed in a day. And once completed, your home will be shielded from outside hot air while you remain cool and comfortable inside throughout the spring and summer. With Window Nation, your house won't just look great, but you also have peace of mind. All of Window Nation's products are backed by a lifetime warranty. There's no better time to upgrade your home with Window Nation. In March, the more you buy, the more savings you could enjoy. Up to 50% off all Windows styles. And be sure to ask about Window Nation's generous financing options, including $0 down and payments as little as $199 a month. Visit windownation.com for your free consultation today. That's windownation.com.
Attention, low payment club members and
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
PJ Glasser, college basketball, more baseball talk, Yankees and Giants tonight. We'll talk some Sabres here as well. As we invite your calls at 866-4326. He came in with one arm inoperable today. He's a gamer. It's not a medical emergency, but his neck is busted. It is time for the best bit on the show.
It's now time for Terrible Time Timmy's Terrible Take of the Day on WGR Rochester. WGR Rochester. It's Terrible Time Timmy.
I think it bothers me more than anything that you enjoy that monstrosity of music that Brian from Avon. Thank you for listening. I hate that I have to listen to that. And
Dude, it's telling the audience, don't take this so seriously.
I think this is a take that is very serious, and I was going to ask, but now I don't have to because we just observed them together. Did you see those heinous renderings of the big, dumb buffaloes? Have you seen them? I know you have because I just watched you see them, but if you haven't and you're listening, please go scope those out. Those are hazardous beyond belief. Some idiot is going to drive into one of those for sure. It undoubtedly is going to be sun glare. They're big, dumb, and ugly. And just you wait for the first. There's going to be a lawsuit when Chad from Cheektowaga or Dougie from Dunkirk puts her stupid hand on that stupid buffalo. Those are dumb and dangerous, and they should be removed from. Just render them. Render them useless. They're awful.
All right. Okay. One, let's just kind of confirm you're sober.
I am sober.
Okay.
But my arm hurts.
Two, should you recuse yourself from this knowing that you don't like the Bills? You're not a Bills fan.
No, I shouldn't recuse myself.
All right. Okay. I just pointing that out that stadium's not for you, right? Three, you do know, like, it's going to have, like, a barrier around it that no one's going to drive up. Now, to your point, will there be some idiot? You're going to need some full-time security there, I would think. Is there going to be some idiot that's going to be like, hey, let me climb up that thing? Hey, yeah, Barney.
I don't know. I saw those yesterday, and I was fired up, clearly.
What's the one thing they didn't tell you? How much do the damn things cost?
Oh, yeah, there's also that.
That's like, yes. So, Tim, I like art. Executive producer. We went Valentine's Day to the Memorial Art Gallery, right? And those are people donating over time, right? More often than not. Okay, sure. And then people donate money, and then you go out and buy. These were your tax dollars building art.
Big dumb buffaloes.
And you know what? Before sports takes, you know what art is? It's just a take. You go in and like, oh, that's a magnificent piece of art. Like, that's crap. It's just somebody just splattering red paint around. Tim, it needed to be said because everybody's like, these are great. I love it. I want to hate on you for that take, but I can't.
Oh man, I thought that you were going to absolutely love them, knowing that it is art, sort of. I mean, it's abstract for sure.
No, but somebody and Chris, I see your tweets and everything. Chris, your intro, it's too serious. I need more levity on the show here, and that's what Tim brings here. We call him Terrible Time Timmy because you don't have a terrible time with Tim. You can't. If you see him out of the Red Wing game, you'll have a beer. You have some conversation.
The most fun you'll ever have, but it'll be terrible at the same time.
We're way past the break time.
Let's stay a little longer because I have a little bit more of a take with all this construction. Did you see the branded stuff they had? Just put the yellow jackets on. They had branded helmets.
Yeah.
All of this is an unnecessary expense. That's not a terrible take. That's just a fact.
Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome.
You're not hurt that you didn't get invited. For anything, I didn't get invited either. But then
I'm just happy to be here.
It's like, yeah, right. That's it. We will be talking to PJ Glasser. I've got some other takes lined up here for you, too. Show's better with your participation. 585-866-4326. It's the Sports Bar. WGR Rochester.
WBEE HD2 and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station, WGR Rochester. Sports Update.
It's an A-plus night of sports viewing coming up. First, the Sabres. Back home tonight after a 4-game road trip, taking on Boston. Zach Benson of Buffalo going up against the veteran Corey Perry.
Perry's a great example. I watched him growing up. Yeah, he's a guy that I've always looked up to and still look up to. And, there's guys around the league, the Kachucks, the Marchands, kind of the players that you always look up to. And you always look up to guys that you want to be like and kind of similar play styles. So
Benson earlier today on Sabres Live. Coverage begins at 6:30 tonight here on WGR Rochester, 7:30 the puck drop. TV side tonight, that'll be on TNT. Also tonight, Major League Baseball opening the curtain on the 2026 season. Yankees and Giants, Max Fried going up against Logan Webb. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Stay for a while, you're in the sports bar on WGR. Grab a drink, hang your coat, get sports talk. Live from Western New York. It's a master show. 9 times better than your typical host. 9 times. Gene and Tim have things much hotter than most. No one cares when you're out. Sabres! Bills, Americans, Red Wings and Nighthawks. Sports bar. For Rochester Sports Talk.
Hour number 2 as we fly right in. Beautiful afternoon here in downtown Rochester. The sun is out. Baseball is back. We got the Sabres on tonight, and we'll be talking to our good friend PJ Glasser about the Sweet 16. That's all coming up here. Our phone number, 866-4326, area code 585. Gene Battaglia with you. Our fine producer, a terrible take Timmy with one arm today because he's got a pinched nerve in his neck. I don't even want to make fun of that, buddy.
That's
really
been
sorry.
2 years. I just finally learned what it was today.
Oh, well, it's health. Very, very important thing, Tim. Take care of yourself. We have time again for your calls. 866-4326 here in the Flower City. Fun show so far. Jim Riley was fantastic. Dan DeLorean working on that. If you missed it, we'll have it in bite-sized form. Wherever you get your fine audio, we prefer you go to the Odyssey app. The time tomorrow, around now, we will have real opening day, right? Mets and Pirates, 1:35 the first pitch. And that's the best broadcast team in Major League Baseball, okay? And I'm not biased saying that. There's other people that would say that. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez. Because, hey, when the game is serious, they're going to give you insight. They can have some fun. They know how to switch gears. Like with the Yes Network, they don't have that same sort of chemistry. They tried. Maybe they'll find it at some point. But this story I'm going to bring up is about Keith Hernandez. Now, Keith Hernandez, that's part of it too. Like he and Ron Darling, they were there. They were there in the 80s. They were part of that team in 86 that people look back fondly, right? And Hernandez, to his credit, did something that I'm sure for him was a little bit out of his comfort zone. And he went on Seinfeld. So Seinfeld, you could say, one of the best sitcoms of all time, certainly owned the 90s. And this is about a decade after he got out of the game, right? And Keith Hernandez was only in 2 episodes of Seinfeld. And I remember both of these. One where they did this bit, the analogy here being to the JFK shooter, like, hey, did Keith Hernandez actually spit on Kramer? Turned out he didn't. Keith Hernandez then dated Elaine, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. This is Elaine, she was it then, right? But then Elaine dumped him when she found out Keith Hernandez firing up a smoke. Think about that being a different time now. Like if somebody fires up a smoke now, you're like, hey, wait, why? What are you doing? This is like an ex-athlete doing it. And heck, they were doing it in the bullpen or doing it in the dugout, whatever, back in the 80s. Different time, I suppose. Why am I bringing all these up? These episodes came out in the 1990s. Well, the question was put up as Hernandez went on a podcast with Jimmy Traina. Hey, when you went on Seinfeld, are you still getting paid for that? The answer is yes. You want to take a guess? Keith Hernandez disclosing he is still getting close to $5,000 a year for being on 2 episodes 30 years ago. Hernandez, quote, "It's the gift that keeps on giving." Yeah, that's fantastic. Imagine going to your mailbox. Hey, want to take a weekend trip there, hon? Great. Yeah, I got paid again. So this is my question, and I'm sure everybody in Hollywood is like, shh, be quiet with that. Shush. Because I don't know what these guys get on residuals. Hey, if it's being replayed in DVD sales or whatever it is, that, yeah, the money's still coming in off of it. You don't get to air Seinfeld at 7 o'clock on whatever. You need to pay money for that, and then things kind of get chopped up and divvied out. So Hernandez was on 2 episodes. Seinfeld had 180 episodes. Now, if Hernandez is saying basically he got $2,500, he gets $2,500 per episode annually. Does that mean Julia Louis-Dreyfus or any of the other regulars, if the math is the same, make $450,000 a year for doing nothing? The show about nothing? How about the job about nothing?
And that money just on that show. They're in other shows as well. So they're just pocketing hand over fist.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's crazy.
Like, that's all you need to do. Now, find one show and you're still raking it in. Now, network sitcoms, not what they used to be, I suppose, but I'm fascinated by this. Yeah, your work is out there, and you are still getting paid, and good for Keith Hernandez. And sure, you probably at the time, like, you can imagine Keith Hernandez like, oh boy, here comes the jock. He can't act. We got to deal with this guy. Everybody rolling their eyes. We're doing this as a stunt. He did great. And to his credit, and probably to the cast's credit, they made it work. I love Seinfeld. That's one of those where, like, I probably should watch it a little bit more, but who has the time these days? From the it's not surprising at all category, but I'm going to tell you why some things that are next you're hearing are not right. Hubert Davis fired at North Carolina. Not surprising. He looked like a defeated man. He had no excuses. And we know that fan base, specifically those boosters, no. Yeah, they're not going to, for that program to do that, okay, they're making the tournament not good enough. You're losing to an 11 seed, stop. Duke is a 1. That's where you should be. And Hubert Davis's time at Carolina comes to an end. Apparently he had to go meet with the AD, Bubba Cunningham, right? I shouldn't know like an 80s name, but we knew that from Belichick, right? And Bubba Cunningham sat him down and said, come up with a plan on how to improve. So, like, this is a school project. Hubert Davis has to come back with his PowerPoint, and here's how we're going to improve next year. Yeah, that wasn't enough. Like, why did you make the guy go through that? Like, you knew you were going to fire him anyways. But now here's the fun part. And this is where it gets silly, right? Hey, who's going to be the next head coach? And instantly, Brad Stevens' name get thrown out. He's a great coach. Yeah, he said, no, I'm not interested. No, thank you. If you were going to say any of these coaches that got burned out, you looking at Jay Wright, look right at him, right? Won a championship at Villanova. What about Tony Bennett? Virginia, losing as a 16 to as a 1 to a 16. But then the next year they win the whole thing. That category of coaches that stepped away because they were burned out or they didn't like where the game was headed with NIL and they couldn't be king anymore. And I'm not even throwing Krzyzewski and Roy Williams and other guys that just said, okay, I'm done. But Wright could do it. I see this as the last call for them. You're not going to, like, at least flirt with North Carolina on this? Then I don't see you coming back. You're not going to come back for a lesser job. Also, too, let's kind of point out the obvious here. Coaches that step away for a couple reasons, it's tough to get back in. Things change. Relationships change. Politics, the game is completely gone. So that's number one. And number two, like once you get outside of coaching, you realize, yeah, life's not so bad here. This is actually kind of cool. Now, the sidebar. I'm alone on this island and will continue to be alone on this island. When Sean McDermott got fired, he'll be a head coach next year. You wait. He's not going to be a head coach next year. I'm sorry. He coaches the wrong side of the ball. There will be other qualified candidates. And when Sean McDermott is asked the question, tell me about 13 seconds. Tell me about this analogy you made in the practice about 9/11. Tell me. There are some things there that I would want to know if I'm if I'm a hiring GM. And ultimately, you know what? The biggest strike of them all, you have Josh Allen and you couldn't get to a Super Bowl. So, again, he's going to be out. I don't see him coming. If he comes back as a coordinator, I think that's it. But back to Carolina. Because Brad Stevens is brought up. No, that's not happening. Nate Oates, I think, would kind of be the guy. But I'm going to tell you who's not going to be, because I'm reading today that Billy Donovan is the leading candidate. Or there's interest. Okay. Let's play this out. Now, Billy Donovan, if you're not familiar, played at Providence under Rick Pitino. Billy Donovan won back-to-back titles as a head coach at Florida. So he has won. Okay, now granted, that's decades ago, but then he goes to the NBA, Oklahoma City, in Chicago now. Okay, explain this to me. Billy Donovan is just going to leave his NBA job now to get to North Carolina here in the next couple weeks. How does that work? Explain that one to me. And no, you can't wait for the NBA season to finish up and then he'll kind of go. There's this thing called the portal. You need to hire somebody now. This doesn't time out right for Billy Donovan or any other guy in the NBA right now. You need somebody right now that can make that jump. And Nate Oates, we like him in Buffalo, but hey, he's brought in some guys in Alabama. Like, I don't know. Alabama might be like, go take. And for Carolina, they might be like, you know what? We need somebody like Nate Oates coming in here. And also, too, we haven't even, like, Belichick's been off the radar. It's not college football season. What if they get off to another start? That's year number 2. We'll get the thoughts of PJ Glasser. PJ Glasser, of course, with various outlets. He's our betting expert. We will also give you some Red Wing tickets right now. If you're caller number 5, you get a 4-pack, a family 4-pack to see the Rochester Red Wings opening day against Scrim. That's going to be next Tuesday, the 31st at 4 o'clock. Now, you can buy them, or you can be caller number 5 right now. Area code 585-866-4326. 585-866-4326. Good luck here from the Rochester Red Wings and your friends here at WGR Rochester.
Rochester Sports Update.
Well, after a 4-game road trip, Sabres are back home tonight. Divisional opponent being Boston. Head coach Lindy Ruff on the Sabres being back home.
I think it's special. I think the energy in our building has really been great for our group. I mean, it's probably the first time they've experienced that type of energy here. And probably everything that's around town, the excitement that's going on. So, I think embrace it, but know there's a lot of work to do.
Coverage begins at 6:30 tonight. 7:30 for the puck drop a little later. TV side tonight on TNT. Major League Baseball. The season begins tonight. Yankees and Giants. Max Fried going against Logan Webb. Amherst are back home Friday night against Toronto. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Today, get a $50 certificate for half price to Lasertron in Henrietta. For this and other great deals, log on to GetMyPerks.com. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader. WGR Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
We have an exquisite weekend of college basketball coming up. Welcome back into the Sports Bar. Gene Battaglia with you as we are joined every Wednesday by our betting experts. PJ Glasser here in the Sports Bar. And PJ, I got to hand it to you. 2 weeks ago, you put your finger on Texas, kind of said, look, watch out for this team in the SEC tournament, and hopefully people kind of took your advice when it came to their bracket. PJ, how are you this afternoon?
Gene, I'm doing good, my friend. How are you doing today?
My Florida Gator pick went up in smoke. Coming up here as a result, it's a 9 seed in Iowa taking on Nebraska as a 4. PJ, the first game of the doubleheader in Houston. So let's start in that region there. How do you like that matchup? How do you view it?
It's going to be a good one, Gene. I mean, the totals dropped too. Was it 133.5? Now it's down to 131.5. It's going to be a rock fight kind of game, maybe first to 60 kind of game. These teams obviously both being in the Big Ten. They split during the regular season. This actually opened like Nebraska -2.5, -3. Now we're down to 1.5, as you mentioned. So it's going to be a tight game. I lean Nebraska to win. I don't feel great about it. I think this is one of those live betting games that I definitely look, either one of these teams gets up like 9 or 10 points, probably bet the other team to come back. Both regular season meetings were close. I expect this one to also be close. So if you can get maybe like 7.5, 8.5 live with either of these teams, I think that's the right play. I would just lean Nebraska. I think they're a little bit better, and they're a little bit more of a consistent shooting team. The fear with Iowa is that they play at one of the slowest paces in the country. If they have an off shooting night, they really could be in trouble. So I would lean Nebraska in the game, but that's going to be a fun one. And watching those two fan bases, it will be a lot of fun too.
Yeah, I mean, the winner here, the Big Ten, 6 teams in the Sweet 16, and then right after that in Houston, one of those teams, Illinois, they're good, but Houston is seeded better, and Houston's a small favorite here, PJ. Are you liking Houston to advance to the Elite 8?
No, I actually like Illinois, Gene. I think they're going to pull the small upset. I took them +3.5. So this game is in Houston, right? I mean, they're playing at the Toyota Center, the home of the Rockets. It's 2 miles away from campus. So it's a de facto home game for the Cougars. But you look at some of the home court advantages we've had so far in March Madness. Missouri played their first-round game against Miami and St. Louis. Florida played their first 2 games in Tampa, obviously losing to Iowa in the round of 32. I don't really make much of like the home court advantage. Like, will it be a pro Houston crowd? Absolutely. But, there'll be Illinois fans there, and I think they're going to play really well. I think they're a bad matchup, too, for Houston. That's a great defensive team, as we all know. They really like to trap and double in the post, and Illinois' got these European big men that are just really, really good at passing the ball, finding the open man. They're not Jokic-like, but again, kind of that background of they can play in the post and are so unselfish and can hit their shooters. So I think Illinois' offense and their big man kind of beating that Houston defense and the traps are going to be the key for me in this game. Also, I look at Ken Palm, Gene. These teams are separated by like a point in the net rating. So it really should be Houston minus like 1.5, and we're getting it over the possession at 3.5 at some spots. I just think that's too good of a price to pass up. So I'll take Illinois plus 3.5.
Yeah, it sounds like that's the NFL mentality. Like, oh, this is a home game for Houston, essentially. And, well, yeah, yes, there will be probably more fans there. Out in San Jose, all right, the 1 and 2 seeds both advance here. We have Purdue. The days of Purdue are over here, right, PJ? You pointed out a few weeks ago this is a team that, hey, they've got the experience here. Your thoughts on Purdue against Texas? I'm looking at the same line here. Purdue favored by 7.5. Arizona to follow, favored by 7.5 against Arkansas. Are we thinking that the chalk advances out west, PJ?
We are. I think Arizona and Purdue both win. If I were to bet one of the underdogs, I'd probably lean more so towards Arkansas. I think just because Calipari in his career in the NCAA tournament, when he's been an underdog of 4 or more points, he's 7-1 against the spread. And they probably, Gene, have the best player left in the tournament right now because Peterson and Kansas got knocked out. DeBanson and BYU got knocked out. I think most would agree Acuff's the best player on the floor. So when you have the best player on the floor, when you have a Hall of Fame head coach, a guy who's been great as an underdog, you give him a week to prep, and he's going up against Tommy Lloyd in Arizona, who have never been past the Sweet 16. This has always been the round that's tripped them up. And I don't know how you can't be a little bit nervous about Arizona when you watch them struggle against Utah State in that round of 32 game, and it's like, oh, boy, is this just going to be same old Arizona that we've seen in the tournament here the last 6-7 years with Tommy Lloyd? I think they win, but I think it's going to be close. So I like Arkansas plus the points there. Purdue and Texas probably going to be one of the few games I don't end up betting. I think the line's about right. Texas is a hot team. They do match up well with Purdue. We all know the track record of Matt Painter and Purdue. As you were saying, Gene, Purdue with Purdue. What I found kind of crazy is Matt Painter in the first 2 rounds is like unbelievable against the spread. So when his team isn't getting like historically upset by 16, 15, or 14 seeds, they usually win and cover. It's the Sweet 16 that tends to get him. So he has not been great in this round, and he has struggled against the number. I'm going to pass on that one. I do think Purdue wins. And for those that are in their survivor pools, I think if you want to use Purdue, you are good. But, I have bet Arkansas. I do like them plus the points.
Yeah, I got to get him one of those next year, PJ. The survivor pool concept when it comes to the NCAA tournament, it's fantastic, the strategy that goes into that. PJ, you are based in Baltimore. Are you going to make it over to Washington here for the Sweet 16 and Elite 8?
I am, Gene. I got myself a media credential the other day. I know, and my team's playing. You know, Bama's playing on Friday, so it was tough because the D.C. region with Duke, St. John's, UConn, Michigan State is also going on the same day, but it's like, how can I pass that up? Do you know how electric it's going to be on Friday in that building with those 4 fan bases and teams? And, I mean, we're just going to have epic games. So I will be there for the Sweet 16 Elite 8, and I can't wait.
I don't trust St. John's, PJ. I watched that Kansas game. I'm like, wow, this is just some really gross basketball. And, yes, St. John's was causing Kansas to just do some dumb things, and I think Kansas kind of handed the game over. How do you view this Duke-St. John's matchup? Because some people might be scared off of, Duke getting the scare there from Siena. It's Duke favored by 6.5, PJ.
Tricky game, Gene, right? It definitely feels like the underdog is going to be super popular. A lot of people are going to be taking St. John's plus the points and on the money line. They certainly could win this game. As cliche as it is, it really just comes down to how well St. John shoots the 3 ball. Because as you mentioned, for much of that game against Kansas, it was ugly. I mean, that was just defensive basketball, turnovers, air balls, a lot of brick shots. Like, it was bad. So if St. John's uncharacteristically is able to shoot the 3 pretty well, you know their defense is going to be good. You know they're going to force turnovers. But if they can get some offense, then they absolutely have a shot to win this game. On my bracket, I originally had St. John's going to the Final Four, assuming that they would see Duke in the Sweet 16. The reason I thought they could win this game is because without Duke having their point guard and Caleb Foster, I thought St. John's ball pressure and their press could really give Duke fits. And that Zuby Ejiofor Cam Boozer matchup down low is going to be a really, really good one. So that's going to be a terrific game. Should be a great atmosphere. People from Duke can drive up from Durham. People from New York can take the train down to watch St. John's. So it should be a lot of fun. Don't think I'll ultimately bet it. I do like Duke to win the game, but I don't feel great, Gene. I mean, St. John's certainly has a good shot of pulling the upset.
Yeah, and my gosh, the coaches you get here, you get following by Hurley for UConn against what's his name in Michigan State, PJ?
Tommy Zoe, Gene. It's going to be in my neck of the woods this week. I can't wait. Gene, this game is going to be so good, man. I saw a tweet where somebody's like, I just lost money looking at this game, because it really is one of those games. Yeah. It feels like whatever side you bet, you're going to be on the wrong side of it. I would probably lean UConn in the game if I had to, for the people listening, if you want my thoughts. I would lean UConn just for the simple fact that, Hurley and the Huskies have been such a machine, as we all know, in the tournament the last few years. The guy's 15-1 against the spread in his last 16 tournament games, and you're getting him in basically a pick 'em, right? You're getting him in a game where you just have to pick the winner. So even though he's going up against another great one, a Hall of Famer, and a guy who's known for having his teams play pretty well this time of the year, I think UConn being counted out and people talking about them like they're not quite the same team is giving them an extra chip on their shoulder. So, Gene, for me, it's just really that simple. In a coin toss type game like this, you give me Hurley at a short money line, I'll take UConn.
Yeah, PJ Glasser, betting expert, our guest here, and you're also an Alabama grad, PJ. Is this the last game Nate Oates will be coaching the Crimson Tide, PJ?
Oh, I hope not, Gene. I hope not. The UNC job doesn't worry me as much because he turned down Kentucky a couple years ago, and I think if he was willing to turn down Kentucky, he probably would turn down North Carolina. Now, everybody's got a price, and, maybe he likes North Carolina more than Kentucky. He certainly could. I tell you, if Bill Self retires, though, then Kansas would worry me because I think as a Midwest guy, most probably view that as the number one job in the country with the history. That building, it's the best building in college basketball. So I think Kansas would worry me if Bill Self ends up retiring. North Carolina, I don't think so. I'm really intrigued to see who gets that job. It could be Dusty May. Billy Donovan's getting a lot of talk, Gene, which I get it. He's won 2 national championships, but he's been out of college for a decade. We don't know what he's going to look like in the NIL portal era. So I don't really know if I buy the Billy Donovan. I think Dusty May, Michigan, Otzelberger, Iowa State, maybe Tommy Lloyd, Arizona, but I don't really think so. Byington at Vanderbilt, I think's got a good shot. So I think those would probably be the guys. I think Oates stays unless Bill Self retires. But I think this is going to be his final game of the season. I like Michigan. I laid it with the Wolverines. Bama all year has struggled against teams with size that can rebound, that have great front courts. And Michigan just checks all those boxes. They're bigs. And for all the audience that maybe went out to Buffalo to watch him play, watching Mara and Yaxel and Merez Johnson, those dudes are impressive. They're shooting the ball really well from three. So, me and my buddies knew when the bracket came out, Sweet 16 was probably the ceiling. When we saw the matchup with Michigan, we knew it would be a nightmare because we just cannot beat teams with size and good big men, and that's what we're getting in the Wolverines. So I do like Michigan in the game.
Well, the reason I don't think it's going to be Donovan is the NCAA portal opens up April 7th, which that's good they pushed it back. The NBA season doesn't end until 5 days later. Now, Chicago not officially eliminated. They ain't going to make it. But there's no parallel for this, right? An NBA coach saying, I'm leaving here early, that he would even be allowed. I just don't see that lining up.
That's a good point. It's a good point. It's going to be really fascinating to see because, again, Gene, with NIL and portal, before all that, Todd Golden would leave Florida for sure. Carolina's arguably the number one job in the sport. So I think more guys will be lining up, but you have a lot of these top coaches that they want, and it's is UNC basketball a step up from Michigan? It absolutely is, but Michigan's got some of the best NIL money in the country. So, if you're Dusty May, why would you leave? So it's very interesting nowadays in college basketball when you still have these premier programs and guys who are at great jobs. It would be a step up even to go to a place like Carolina. But again, like you almost have to start over where a lot of these guys have got so much equity that they can pretty much stay as long as they want at certain schools. It's going to be interesting. I don't think Carolina is going to get as big a name as they're hoping. But I still think they end up with a really, really good coach because it is UNC, and they'll be able to get a lot of the guys that they do want, just maybe not the top names that a lot of their fans want.
Yeah, a team that's ahead of Nebraska and Alabama and UConn and Michigan State and Purdue and the KenPom. Iowa State, they're not a Cinderella. Are we really considering them a legit contender to get out and represent there in the Final Four, PJ?
Certainly think they could, especially if their big man Joshua Jefferson returns. He got hurt in like the first 5 minutes of their first round game against Tennessee State. Didn't play against Kentucky. And he's like arguably their second best player, maybe even their best player for everything that he does for them. Their defense, Gene, is just so impressive. I mean, the way that they force turnovers, they suffocate the other team's ball handlers. Like Kentucky, it was just a struggle for them a lot of times to run their offense. So Iowa State's defense is great. They're a pretty good three-point shooting team too. I think it's a bad matchup for Tennessee, and I think the fact that they're pricing this game the same as what they priced Iowa State, Kentucky is pretty telling. I think Tennessee is a better team, a way better team than Kentucky is. So I do like Iowa State in that game -4.5. And if it's Iowa State, Michigan, that's going to be a hell of a game. I would still probably go with Michigan to win it. But if you got anything north of 5 in that game with Iowa State, I don't think you would. I think it'd be about a 3.5, 4.5 spread. But if you got anything north Iowa State, I'd be all over the Cyclones in that game.
So are you going with the 3-1 seeds and then something? How would you line up then overall what the Final Four might look like here?
Yeah, I'm going Arizona, Duke, Michigan, and Illinois will be my that'll be my Final Four. And then I'm going to go with Duke and Arizona, Gene, to meet in the title game, and I still got Arizona winning it all. You know, a little concerned out of what I saw with Utah State. I think Michigan has probably looked the cleanest of all the top teams up to this point. But this is the game for Arkansas. Like, I picked Arizona to win it all in my bracket and before the tournament started, but this was the game that always made me the most nervous, was this Sweet 16 game against Arkansas. So I don't think it'll be easy. I think they'll struggle. But if they're able to get past this one, I still like the Wildcats to win it all.
Quick thought on baseball, because for anybody that wants to bet the Dodgers to win the World Series, I don't know if there's any value in that whatsoever, PJ. But do you have any thoughts here as we begin tonight here on the season at large? Yankees and Giants opening things up tonight out in San Francisco.
I mean, it's just crazy, Gene. The Dodgers are plus 230 to win the World Series, and the Yankees are the next closest team at 10-1. It's just, they are begging people to bet any other team but the Dodgers. Look, I think the two teams in the American League are interesting. I mean, the two teams that met in the ALCS last year, the Blue Jays and the Mariners, I think they're going to be really, really good again. The Mariners with that pitching staff, the Blue Jays with that lineup, but even getting Cease, Toronto did, and another year of Savage and Gossman, I think they'll be really good. Seattle, I think their lineup's going to produce again, and I would expect them to make moves at the trade deadline once more. So those would be the two teams I would look at. In the National League, the Mets and Phillies, I really don't have any interest in. The Phillies are just an aging team, and you got to worry about injuries when we get to October with them. The Cubs and the Braves, I still don't think are quite good enough to beat the Dodgers at this point. So I think the best chance you have of probably beating L.A. is maybe looking at one of the American League teams, and I think Seattle and Toronto probably the two teams that I would look at.
PJ, tell our audience where they can get more of your stuff here as Final Four, but then we have the NBA playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs, baseball, golf, the Masters, all this great stuff coming up here in the coming weeks.
Sure do, Gene. Yeah, people can follow me on X at PJGlasser9, and you can check me out on Game Day Garage, which is a podcast that we're building over there. We just previewed the Sweet 16, Hoops in 5 as well, where I give out some college basketball thoughts. So check those out. You can hear me on Westwood One Sports as well and some of the Odyssey stations. So, Gene, I'm all over the place these days. Obviously, getting that content and hopefully getting a lot of good stuff out in D.C. this weekend with the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. I am fired up for those games this weekend. Should be a lot of fun.
Oh, my gosh. Of all the regions, too, to be at, those two games, that atmosphere is going to be fantastic. PJ, appreciate the time. Let's do this again next week.
Absolutely, Gene. Appreciate you having me.
All right, thanks. That's PJ Glasser, who will be covering those games. St. John's and Duke, Michigan State and UConn. I don't agree with Hurley saying, yeah, we need St. John's fans to cheer for us, and we'll reciprocate. Get out of here with that.
That is weird.
That's weird. It's
Pandering to the wrong audience?
No, that's not the way it works. And here's the way it works in the tri-state area, right? UConn's up there. That's that they don't care about UConn. Nobody in the city is like, ooh, yay, UConn. This is a UConn bar. No, it might as well be Vermont or Maine. Like, even though it's like, what, a 3-hour drive or whatever, they don't care. So, and Hurley is a name that's been bandied about. Would he leave for Carolina? He shouldn't. He has something going there at UConn. He used the Lakers as leverage years ago to his advantage. Last call is for you at 866-4326. Area code 585-866-4326 here on WGR Rochester.
On the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR, Rochester.
Some NFL notes is the owners' meetings are going to be coming up next week. And one thing that is not going to be on the agenda in terms of rule changes, the tush push. Remember how the narrative on this all got botched? Like, honestly, it was out of a place almost of jealousy that the rest of the league looked at the Eagles and we can't stop this. And this isn't good for television. We want plays that are exciting, not something that looks like rugby. And they came up with the excuse that it was for player safety. And McDermott was put out there, and he did not have his beats down on that whatsoever. This is not the friendly media of Western New York. This was NFL media, your Judy Batistas, your Armando Salgueros. And we're like, wait a second, where? What proof that play is dangerous, Coach? Who's gotten hurt? What? And he talked in circles, and the Eagles owner got up, made his plea, and it would be revisited, supposedly, this year. Well, guess what? It's not revisited. It's staying in. And from the Buffalo Bills standpoint, good. I'm okay with Josh Allen on a tush push. It's Josh Allen like kind of running in the wild there, where you're afraid that, all right, maybe, bad things could happen. But that's been a weapon for the Buffalo Bills, the tush push. They don't do it as well as Philadelphia, certainly, but the tush push will be back. Another thing that's kind of coming out for those that care, we have a Super Bowl rotation that is down 2027, Los Angeles. That'll be followed by Atlanta, which means, okay, who's going to get the next one? Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be Vegas, which that's interesting. What's interesting to me, though, they haven't gone back to Jerry World. Like, they had the one Super Bowl there, Steelers and Packers. It was a good game. But a couple things that really were disastrous. One, beyond their control, the weather, which you wouldn't think Dallas, but it was icy. And the way everything is laid out there, apparently. Now, my disclaimer, I've never been to the Metroplex, but I hear it's kind of like Los Angeles, where, like, all right, it's just big and sprawling. And, hey, if you got events spread out there, if the weather's bad, that's not ideal. But then you also had this other issue. Think about this. They oversold the game. Can you imagine that? How do you oversell the Super Bowl? Somebody got a little greedy there when it came to the ticketing. Tomorrow, we'll be back doing this from 1 to 3. We'll be reacting to baseball in real time. Opening day coming up tomorrow. We'll talk a little hockey tomorrow as well. Sabres hockey tonight here on WGR Rochester. 6:30 the pregame. Buffalo taking on Boston. Magic number is at what, 11? It's not quite a baseball formula, but you could have the Sabres clinching within a week here. We know they're going to the postseason, but let's just kind of make it official. If you miss any of today's show, download the Odyssey app. You can listen to the Rewind feature or wherever you get your fine audio. Dan DeLorean has everything up in bite-sized form. Shope and the Bulldog coming up next. For my fine producer, Tim Schneider, my name is Gene Battaglia here on WGR Rochester.
Opening day challenge, ABS. Who's going to go first?